How do you know when a side are truly in their stride? Well, take a look in the Europa League on a Thursday night when that side can beat Toulouse, who were meant to lose this game, 5-1. And you can think of so many reasons in previous seasons why X wouldn't have happened, why wouldn't have happened, why this player is going to be the thing that loses us the game this evening, why this is going to undermine Liverpool tonight, why I can see this side struggling to beat X. Let's talk a little bit about that. Liverpool stepped out this evening with goalkeeper that's not a regular starter, not the regular two centre-backs, which, by the way, losing Virgil van Dijk early on in the season, possibly a blessing in disguise. Talk about that more in a second. The captain, of course, at right back. Scanlon on the other side. Chambers on the other side. Sorry, Scanlon came later. Endo, Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, Gravenberch, brand new signing, and then the front two, which is really a front four, but maybe more like a front three, of Núñez and Jota. There were just enough leaders. There was just enough people in that side who can take really good tactical advice from Klopp, and there were just enough people who were willing and able to play for their place in the team or put in a decent performance. Where do you even start? And this is what I love. Every one of my Liverpool reviews this season have been, hey, this guy looked good, this guy looked good, here's why this guy's been excellent, here's why this thing will improve, here's why this position is evolving under Klopp. You can literally pick out every one of these players and say something positive about it. Kelleher, maybe there was a little issue for the goal. Maybe he could have gotten out a little bit earlier, but broadly during the game, did he have all that much to do? Not really. Would another goalkeeper have conceded that? Probably. You can maybe make a criticism of Chambers for stepping up a little bit, Trent for playing their player on side when Liverpool conceded, maybe Matip for not jogging back fast enough, Joe Gomez for not quite having that pace in the first place. If you've got a defensive midfielder in Endo, should there not be more coverage? But Liverpool's high line there is the reason that Toulouse play the odds, and Klopp regularly plays those odds, right? Let's talk about the positives in the game. Liverpool barely ever looked like they were really that troubled. They barely looked like they needed to step out of first or second gear. And here's the interesting aspect. In the moments where it looked like they needed to force something over the line, where they needed to really get the ball down the field and just to put it in the net, they had the ability, seemingly at will, to just turn it on against Toulouse. Toulouse is second in the group. I'm not saying that they are necessarily like the unbeatable team. And I think Liverpool have only played a couple of teams this season that you consider to even be, it's not about being a worthy opponent, but a challenge that truly challenges this team to think tactically, to have to invest in more than just Klopp told us to do this, we will do this. And that's kind of the point here, it is the Europa League on a Thursday night. Like, I'm not saying this is the apex of the game, but it's still worth analysing. Klopp was able to change in a number of players here. Endo's not been a starter. There have been articles in the past week on multiple different websites about why Endo isn't starting. Weirdly, because was he ever brought to be a starter in the first place? Realistically, no. Curtis Jones just returning from injury. Fantastic press conference for him earlier in the week, talking about the maturity of the mentality, those kind of things. I think there's an incredible mental journey that he's been on. But on top of that, I think he is a mental player in the sense that when his head's right, he's right. And, I'm sure that's something that is relevant for every player. If a player's unhappy, it's more difficult for them to play well. But it's particularly showing for Curtis Jones. And he went through an evolution under Klopp that I think a few people doubted was there. He seems to be different demeanour, different kind of player at this point, different kind of guy. And I'm really happy for him. When he steps out in that midfield as part of Wataru Endo, Havenberg, I think that's the way you say it. Harvey Elliott, who's basically a right winger this evening, but is like he's kind of like an 8-10 type player out there. Like, he's not really playing as a traditional winger in that sense, but he is wide enough. And then obviously alongside Havenberg and Núñez and Jota, the enabling that we've missed almost from Curtis Jones in recent games, in recent weeks, is something that I think is worth shouting out. Did I think that this quickly we would see a maturity and an evolution for him in the team? No. Do I think that we missed him? I think, to an extent, I think so. I don't think this Liverpool side is about missing one player at the moment. I think they're trying to reduce, and a lot of teams in the Premier League are trying to reduce missing just one player. But you can make the argument as to why I miss watching him, or I miss his contribution to the side. Whether Klopp and the team miss him is another thing. Those are two different judgments that I think very often we mix up. Let's just talk about that Diogo Jota goal. Now, the easy analysis is to do what TNT did this evening. I think TNT's coverage is excellent, but sometimes the old coverage of Jota can be a little basic. Hey, you're always going to get an 8 out of 10 out of him. He's a pretty solid performer, and he'll always do the basics. Excellent. Nailed it, mate. I think Jota is a I wouldn't quite say he's a world-class player, but I think he is a player whose understanding of the game, reading of the game, anticipation for the game is something that Klopp really appreciates. You see it in those brilliant moments for him, and he tries great. Like, if another player had put it through another player's legs like that and then comfortably finished, by the way, with such a casual approach, I think we'd be fawning over him. But that is something we almost come to expect from Diogo Jota. He just walks through the opposition in an almost striker-like way, has the confidence to just slot it away, and away he goes. And Liverpool are 1-0 up very early on. 7 minutes later, obviously, they level, but then go down the other end, and you've just got the roll, the little get it under his boot, roll it forward. I've done it with a leg. And little cross in from Trent to Wataru. I think possibly, maybe Elliott is shorter than him, but it's not as if he's like towering over the centre-backs, if that makes sense. Although I do remember a few people saying like, oh, I wouldn't worry about his headers, but I thought that was more defensive headers. But here we are. Like, I guess that's one of the smart things, right? You can do all these little weird side missions when you're so confident in your overall system, when you're confident of the competency of the people in your side and the belief and the gelling nature of what is going on, that you can basically just go, cool, let's try some other things. Wataru on the corner, try this. Stay up. And by the way, you can probably do that because you've also got players who are in Matip or Gomez who will track back a little bit easier. Darwin Núñez with the assist from Curtis Jones then. Again, satisfying. I think Darwin has become one of the most satisfying players to watch in Liverpool shirt. And from remembering what it was, the rawness when he first arrived, or at least it was raw, but to add to that, there was a nervousness, which I think is different to a rawness around what he was capable of. There was almost there was a real doubt in the fan base of, is this the dud that we've been waiting for? And now looking at him, it's just so much fun. Honestly, it brings a smile to your face every time. And that then, obviously on the follow-up goal from him, brilliant to get through. Just take one more touch, put it in, nice and simple. But you rushed it a little bit, weren't on the post. You got to enjoy that. Gravenberch follows up, back of the net. Mo Salah comes on, and in fact, they brought on like a number of different players there. They brought on Scanlon, Kwanzaa, Poe, Mo Salah, and I think there was one more, McConnell as well. And then Salah scores. Really simple goal for Salah. Really simple piece of play for Liverpool as well. Liverpool were basically just able to make very simple plays this evening. It felt a lot more like a training game than it did an actual competitive Europa League game. But you can see Liverpool are taking it seriously. The post-match with Trent obviously said that. I really enjoyed the midfield shape this evening. I enjoyed that Gravenberch was actually on the average positions. He's here, by the way. The most advanced player. This is where he lives in moments like this, because he's putting the pressure on the opposition. That's where his most touches are. He's winning the ball back. He's playing it out wide. He's trying to hook up with other players. He's driving into that space. I love the way that he drives. I love the way that he picks up the ball and has the ability to slalom between players. It really makes you wonder what it was that Munich didn't or did see in him and were looking to capitalise on. Had we got him a year earlier, I would love to know what it is that Liverpool would have done with him. But in this fetishised time for this spot, these boxes right in front of the penalty area, which I think they work out into 3 different areas, but it's kind of like the half space here, the half space here, driving into that area, opening up space, other players moving through it and coming down to make a bit of something for him. I think it's so key that you've got a player that can drive into that space. Different to the way that Jota does it, different to the way that Núñez does it, different to the way that Elliott does it, different to the way that Curtis Jones is trying to unlock that position. It's different to the way that having like out on the pitch, a Chambers out on the left wing is different, right? All of these have got different ways of unlocking that area, and that's what I think is exciting there. And then, of course, on the opposite side of that, you've got Jota, who is probably got a deeper, I know there's a big area here where Gravenberch has done a lot of tackling, but look at Jota tracking back all the way here as well. This area, that's protection of that back line. That is him picking up the ball, and that is him wandering into this area and getting the goal. And then coming in here, he's basically trying to cut it back and basically get Liverpool into a good position. It's a great position for Klopp and the guys to be in. It's a great position for Liverpool to just be able to step out there, easily get through this game and march onto the weekend, which I think is a game on Sunday. Big game in terms of the weekend for Manchester United, but an even bigger game for Liverpool, who, again, want to keep up the pressure, want to keep up some of the momentum, should we say, in the league. Someone said it to me the other day. It's like, well, Spurs are top. I was like, yeah, but what if that game had not had that result? What would we do then? How would that work then? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Would they still be top? Would Liverpool be top? Blah, blah, blah. Just saying. On top of that, by the way, it's great when you see someone like a Chambers come in, when you see how easy Matip and Gomez both make it for not only Chambers to just push on. Endo makes that very easy as well, by the way. And so does having Curtis Jones, someone who can distribute the ball. You need less of a defensive midfielder, which obviously in a game like this you won't need it as much, when you have much more control of the ball, when you have and are creating way more chances. You don't need to be as worried about being on the back foot. This traditional idea of all these positions felt very like it was sticking Liverpool in a box. It worked in that time, but Liverpool and other coaches are moving on from that period of needing to assign specific positions. Obviously, we've still got Núñez as a striker. Obviously, we've still got Jota in those positions, and people have taken up rough positions. But this Liverpool side are learning to adapt. They're learning to read the game. They're learning to adapt to an opposition that week in, week out now is very different, from the Premier League standard to the Europa League standard to all these different things. And the fact that they can bring in basically, I don't want to say a whole new starting 11 because it isn't, but that is a starting 11 that won't have started a lot, if any, games together, mainly because there's also Europa League debuts in their Champions League. You wish, Lawrence. But just look at that in terms of the composition and starting 11. Two in the middle, which all the play came through, four up front, and then there was really it was three in the middle, but it could have been three in the middle, him going out wide, him coming on there. It was really a 2-4-4. It worked. Everyone looked like they're enjoying themselves. Even when they scored, there wasn't even a moment where Liverpool looked shaky or it was like, oh, bit nervous here. Keep moving forward. If I am to criticise anything about this season, I'll criticise the Spurs game. I didn't feel like that was necessarily a game where we can judge Liverpool, but you get my point. I think on top of that, you could criticise that Liverpool haven't necessarily faced a strong opposition that's going to fully test them, and that is still to come. They've had a couple of difficult games, but not to the degree like where it's 11 versus 11, let's just play a game of football. There's always been some special circumstances. Something is different. They're down to 10. They've got this. This has changed. Let's just see what happens when Liverpool play 11 v 11. How they unlock an opposition. Can they unlock an opposition? Are they more unlockable? All these kind of things. Klopp will not then be forced to tinker in the way that he's forced to tinker, or the way he's forced to change things. That's what I'm saying. I'd be interested to know what you guys thought. In the comments below, let me know what you thought of Liverpool's performance. Very simple, straightforward performance. I'm going to finish on this. I've got a brand new Liverpool channel, which I've set up. Just my same logo, but in red. I put the link in the description down below. It's at the very top of the description. Go subscribe to it if you're a Liverpool supporter. If you've not already hit subscribe on this channel, please hit it. But there's going to be a lot more Liverpool content over there. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop Liverpool content on this channel. Still going to be doing some, like these hero videos, the big ones for the big games on this channel. Migrate some stuff over to the other channel. This will still have some Liverpool content on it. There will still be a lot of Liverpool stuff, and obviously I'm a Liverpool fan, so there's something there. But I'm excited. I'm engaged by making this new channel. I launched the Chunks and Philly podcast with Chunks and Philly a couple of days ago. Those guys grow stratospherically, so I feel comparatively miniature right now. Like watching those guys go, yeah, should we just get 50k subs? Yeah, cool. Should we just get how many 100,000 views? I feel that big. It reminds me of when I was kind of, you don't know, you never feel that big until you see other people just. So I'd love to build a community over there. Like I say, this is something I'm trying to build towards and make into kind of an empire. So I'd appreciate if you guys would come with me and we can do it together. Appreciate you guys coming to the channel. If you've not already hit subscribe over on there or on here, do it, and I'll see you again probably on the weekend, but again, probably tomorrow, real soon, right here on Lawrence McKenna channel. Much love. Oh, it's called Lawrence McKenna on LFC. Couldn't think of anything else. Also, just want to keep it simple. Simple branding. Goodbye.